All right, good morning, everyone. How's everybody feel this morning? Had a good breakfast and everything, and ready to get another great day of work started. We have a full day today, and then a wonderful gala tonight. Good morning to our President and CEO, Dr. Chavis, who is here, our chair of the board, and all the other board members. Glad to see everyone. Some folks are still straggling a little bit from upstairs, but we're not going to delay. Just sent word up for them to hurry along. Uh, this first workshop, yes, sir. Okay, so right now, good question. Um, um, Yesterday it was stuffy, so I think they overcompensated. So I'll say something, but I fear if they, some things are just in extreme. So I'm worried if we fix it, then it might go back to being too hot again. So I don't know. You want to try it? Okay. But Fran's suggestion was just to get the coffee down here. So that's was her solution. Um, but let's see what we can do. I'm looking for Jason now, so we'll see if we can get it addressed. But we'll take a look at it. Okay. Sorry about that. Um, let's see, where was I? Oh, yes, yes, yes. So our first workshop today is going to address Google Analytics 4. All right, the number 4. Uh, Google Google Analytics 4 for us, FOR. So, but first we're going to hear from our great and long-standing. Let's get all the folks at Google. First of all, a big round of applause. But first, our main presenter will be Danielle Noriega. She will be presenting our workshop today. But before she's a Google News Initiative fellow, teaching fellow, Google News Initiative teaching fellow. But before that, with the Google News Initiative, someone who's been with us for a while, and she also um, was with us in room 1704 last night in that cathartic experience. Who said have mercy? Who said? Right. But we had fun. We had a good time. Um, but she's most known for the adorable 14-month-old she has named Easton. Really, that's the picture. That's the slide that should go up there. If we're gonna go viral today, aren't we talking about what marketing and attracting people? That's a wrap. It's viral. Google, everything goes up. Casey's gonna come forward just before Danielle. Let's hear a few words from Casey Polenic. Give Casey a round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you. Um, Happy to be here. Is this on? I can't tell. Oh, great. Um, Thank you. Oh, that's right. Well, thank you all for having me, and thank you for having us last night. This is just a slide that sort of captures the trajectory of our sort of formal partnership with NNPA that kicked off in 2019, but I think has just sort of grown as we've continued to learn each other, frankly, and adapt to each other. And you all have taught us so much about how we can better support the news industry, support the Black press. And so we've adapted, and now our latest innovation is transformation tech, which it sounds, talking to a lot of you, sounds like a lot of you have taken part in it. So thank you. If you've not, please apply. We have more cohorts coming up this year. And when you go through the 3-month program, which is a fairly light lift, you get $20,000 to support and the implementation of your challenge, sort of whatever you're working on. But through that, one of the things that we've heard, and actually I wish Ron was here because it was really his feedback, was that GA4 is a stressful topic. Google Analytics 4, and specifically the transition to GA4. As I've said, I know nothing about GA4, so I can't help you, but Danielle, our teaching fellow, does. And so this is really meant to be sort of an overview, a primer on the significant changes that are happening in GA4. It is not comprehensive. If that's something of interest, we're happy to build out like a custom workshop or sort of any other format. But this is at a high level kind of what you need to know about the transition to GA4. So with that, I'll pass to Danielle. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome, Danielle, everyone.
What a warm welcome. Thank you. Happy Friday. We've made it. It's great to meet you. My name is Danielle Noriega. A little bit about myself before we jump in. Prior to becoming a teaching fellow here at the Google News Initiative, I was at Meta for 8 years. Sunny Giles, it's great to see you, and crossing paths with those I've worked with previously, working with news organizations and journalists on really maximizing their reach across social. So very happy to be here, have a news background. I was over at CNN Español, Univision, Hablo Español, in case there's anybody here who's bilingual, any bilingual audiences? No? All right, figured I'd throw that out there. Anyway, so I'm gonna jump right to it. We're gonna talk about the top 3 things publishers need to know about Google Analytics 4, so GA4. I'm gonna set expectations. We're gonna talk about the 3 core areas you wanna focus on, because it's a bit of a beast, it's pretty layered. So after this presentation, I'll follow up with resources that really go in depth on the implementation of GA4 to really get in the weeds and understand that even further. Get this to work. See if trying to get the clicker to work. There we go. So I already introduced myself, but a little bit about the GNI. Works with publishers and journalists to make quality information accessible to everybody. So as I mentioned, we'll follow up with these resources, my amazing colleagues, more on tools, training, and other resources beyond GA4. So think about donations, newsletters that you saw yesterday, Val talk a little bit about, but even a deeper dive into all things, not just GA4, but all things Google. So let's dive in. You said the side. See if I can get this to work. All right, so we're going to focus on 3 areas. Let me not spoil it. We're going to focus on users. So who's your audience? Who's that core group of people that are engaging with your content? What do they look like? Are they male, female? Do they like entertainment? Do they like cooking? Do they like sports? And then we're going to understand a little bit about their user journey, the events. So I'm going to stress this multiple times. So events in the GA4 universe means that it's any action taken. So if I view a screen, if I view a page, it's an event. If I click a link, it's an event. If I donate, it's an event. If I decide to sign up for a newsletter, it's a perfect. All right, so we got that clear. All right, and then the final thing is conversions. So you have Danielle Noriega. You know she likes sports. That's a lie. But you know she likes sports, and you know she converted to that newsletter. So how exactly did I get there? So we're going to talk a little bit about that user journey to understand what makes your audience go from not just viewing your page passively, but then taking those actionable steps. So we're going to start with what is a new user versus a returning user. So now you have your new user. What does that mean exactly? So we're going to set a date range. Let's say January 1st to January 27th, today. And Danielle Noriega logs on to the Houston Defender today for the very first time. So I go on, I'm considered a new user as of today because I'm completely brand new to the site. Within that date range, if I come back, I am now considered a returning user. Now think about those new and returning audiences. If I'm new, what do you want me to see, the first thing you want me to see when I go on your page? So ensure that you have those donate buttons, those call to action buttons, so I know immediately how to interact with your content. And think about your returning users. What are those incentives that you can have for them to make them want to come back and continue to support your organization? Sometimes we get asked, what is the sweet spot, with new and returning? What should those numbers look like? I'm going to give the answer that is not always fun, but there's no silver bullet to it. But if I had to say, I would say 80-20. So think about 80% new users and then returning 20% of users. So if you're at 20% with returning users, fantastic. If you're above, even better. But everybody's a little bit different, so we'll talk a little bit about that strategy. Hopefully this works. So in addition to those new and returning audiences, now you know that they're new or returning, but let's dive even deeper with custom audiences. Who are these individuals? So you can add dimensions within custom audiences. Those dimensions can include age, location, languages they speak, and their interests, right? So I know I was eavesdropping yesterday. Someone mentioned they created a cookbook with their audience. Is that, yeah. So that might be something to look into, those food lovers within your audience, right? Understand a little bit about their path across your sites. So understanding custom audiences. So you can add conditions within GA4. So you open it up and you'll see over on the side, or if not, you see the bottom widget that has admin, and from there you're able to create that custom audience with new dimensions. So for the sake of this example, I keep going back to sports, but we're gonna hit demographics. And let's say, like I mentioned, I don't know much about sports, but I do know that the Ravens are doing very well, correct? They're still in it? All right, fantastic. Yes, go Ravens. All right, yes, all right. So, so let's say I'm on the Baltimore Times online, and you're doing wall-to-wall coverage on the Ravens, and you're seeing a lot of traffic being driven, you're seeing a lot of newsletter signups. What's going on there? Let's learn a little bit about that audience. So you set the demographic to sports. I can go next. Let's see. A button on the side. Okay. I went a little forward, but all right. So you understand your sports audiences here. So, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, we're good. All right. Sorry about that. All right, so you understand your sports audiences. This is just an example of a number here. Sorry, Tony. Yeah, so this is just a quick example, but when you hit admin and you add those tags, you'll see pre-populated tags, and one will say sports. So it's able to pull that for you. Yeah, so you see this example here. Let's say your audience is 2.9K sports, right? Oh, sorry, go ahead. Yes, they identify as a demographic. So if you wanted to drill down even more, not just sports, but are they male, are they female, 18 to 35-year-olds, and analytics will provide that provide that to you. So you're in the sports section, and you see that you have a pretty vast audience there. You could even think beyond that, just knowing that your audience is really engaged in the sports section. So let's say, for example, there's a local retailer, a sports retailer you want to work with. You could present these numbers to them and say, hey, we actually have a super engaged audience. Maybe this is somewhere you want to advertise in the future. Yes? Yes, thank you. I meant to add that to my notes, I apologize. So Google Analytics 4, just in case, just take a step back, is an analytics tool that helps you really refine and process and simplify the way that you are able to comb through data and really understand your audience, and not even just your audience. It allows you to understand a little bit about their, let's say for example, their mobile journey. So if you see in the last hour when you're doing that Ravens coverage and everything is crashing and no one's signing up like you've seen before, no one's engaging, that might be something to look into. Maybe there's something wrong with the system, your server, et cetera. So it gives you insight both on your audience and also how things are working smoothly. Thank you. All right, so not only did you just drill down on sports, but you also drill down on where your audiences are coming from. So you see that the majority are coming from mobile. So Val had touched yesterday on the newsletter workshop about best practices across mobile. So ensure that when I open up your website today on mobile phone, ensure that you have all those call to action buttons. Everything is there, everything's accessible. One thing to keep in mind with mobile audiences, everybody's different. You may see more desktop, you may see more mobile, but I believe it's 59% of all traffic is coming from mobile, and it's likely going to continue growing, so something to keep in mind. All right, so now you have, not only did you drill down that they like sports, that they are on mobile, but they're also a newsletter audience. They're highly engaged. So a quick question, show of hands. Who here has a newsletter? Okay, quite a few. Okay, good to know. So this is also a great opportunity that when you're going back to those retailers or anybody in sales, you can actually bundle a couple things, right? So let's say, for example, on your core website, you see that 60% of your audience is female. But in your newsletter, you're seeing that conversion is 80% male. So maybe you want to take a step back and try to understand why one audience is converting versus the other that's not. If you also see a lot of engagement within that newsletter, you can bundle it with a sales rep or whoever it is that you're working with and say, not only are we getting this much engagement on our actual website, you can also consider putting ads in our newsletters as well. So it's two places that you can have that and really maximize that. And then when setting up that custom audience that likes sports, that's on mobile, that's on newsletters, you don't have to do it every single time you log back in. When you create a custom audience, it creates a custom report. So you're able to get updates throughout about what's happening with that audience and how they're growing. You could set up to 150 custom reports, and that's the beauty of GA4 today that really allows you that flexibility to create all these different audiences to understand how they navigate through your site. And again, getting a custom report, this is one example to understand device category. Are they coming from desktop? Are they coming from mobile? Are they coming from tablets? And understanding if they're mostly signing up via mobile or desktop, or if you're seeing that people are kind of scaling back on mobile, maybe there's something wrong with the app, something might be happening. Let's see here. All right. So we're going to talk about event. So if we recall earlier on, an event is any action you take within the Google Analytics 4 universe, right? So view a screen, click a link, whatever it is, it's an event. Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself here. So some event, sorry, apologies. Yeah, I want to go back. There we go. Next one, please. All right, so what can you measure with an event? These are just some quick examples. So you can measure tons of different actions, but we're looking at page views, sessions, and engaged sessions. So a page view is pretty straightforward. I viewed the page. That is one action that I've taken. A session is a little bit different. So that is an action that's taken within like a specific time period. So if you're doing that Baltimore Ravens coverage that Sunday when they play, right? You want to see what's happening in the last like 3 or 4 hours. So you want to measure the sessions that's happening within that specific time range. An engaged session is a new key performance indicator that GA4 introduced. And an engaged session is not only that I view your page, I view it for 10 seconds plus or more. That's what that means, 10 seconds or more, plus I took an additional action. So think of it as a session, but with a little bit more to it, a little bit more meat to it. Not only did I view your page, I actually took the next step. I'm going to chat a little bit more about conversions and other events that are likely more relevant to you. So depending on the prioritization of your organization or whatever you're trying to explore in that moment, let me see here. You have other conversions like newsletter signups, subscriptions, and donations. So I know pretty much the majority of the room has those CTA buttons, how to take that next action. So like I mentioned earlier, Danielle likes the Ravens. Danielle has signed up for a newsletter, but how did she get here exactly? How do I follow her pathway? So there's an opportunity here with explorations. So you open up GA4 and you'll see explorations over on the right side, and you follow how your readers become subscribers. So I'll pull up a quick example here. So when you open up the actual GA4, you should see it over, I'm like pretending as if I'm in front of the computer, but you see it over on the right side. Worst case, you go down to the widget at the bottom, admin, or you go to your settings, and you're able to see everything there. So you follow how your readers become subscribers. So this is tying it all together. You have your user, you know who they are, you know that they take action, so how do we get there? So let's see a promotion. A promotion pops up, how many people view a promotion? And you see that monthly contribution here, contribute $5 a month. So I got that piece. I want to know how many people viewed it. That's an event. So because I viewed it, that's considered an event because that's an action. The next thing I want to do is, how many people click that link to donate? So I would click the next event, so you're piling on events. Sunny.
So are you programming in those questions in order to get those answers?
Yes. So you
Where do you do that?
so you do it within the actual journey section, and you're able to type in those tags.
So I'm gonna use my friend here.
Okay.
She has an anniversary coming up, and she's got a yacht experience.
Can I come? Yeah. Okay. Great.
She's got people signing up for it.
Okay.
And so I'm sorry, I'm using you, but as an example.
Perfect example.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she's got
We'll
people
chat.
signing up for it.
Okay.
And so what would she do to be able to track that?
Yeah, so you want to ensure, so it's a little bit, and I'll follow up with this, with resources on how to include those tags and ensure that it matches up with your site. So use tags, right? So very specific tags to it. So it could be like newsletter underscore sign up is one tag, right? I'll send over examples because I don't want to go through all like the coding of it. But yeah, so you would have, they viewed the page, would be the one, right? This is just an example. The next one is not that only did they viewed it, they clicked the link. What did they do after the link? Did they RSVP? That's one example. So you're able to see the path. Yeah.
Can you follow back through?
I'm sorry?
Can you reconnect to them through their path?
Like directly with them, like through emails or anything like that? I'd have to look into. I'm pretty sure you can in some way. So, but I don't know if certain data might be a little sensitive. But
So if they hit continue or something, isn't that a way? So in other words, you're trying to capture the email.
Yeah.
And respond back.
yeah.
Yeah, that was, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I believe you can. There might be some issues around data, but I just want to make sure and double check for you. But okay. Yeah.
Can I just? I may be rude. So, I don't. Do we want to? Do we want to do this now? Or wait till you finish with everything.
I can go through. I'll be here, so I will. I will come.
It's gonna go over and we don't get what she just presented.
Yeah.
So you okay with that?
I'm okay with it, and I'll be here too. So.
Okay,
yeah.
go ahead. But I want everybody, Mike, to ask some questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's important that we know who they, if we can, who
Right.
they are, so we can communicate with them.
Totally. Yeah.
I mean, while you have the analytics, who are they?
Right.
How do we go back and speak with them?
How do you engage with them? How do you
Correct.
reward them again, right?
That is correct.
Within a via newsletter. Let me follow up with you. I believe you can look into this, but I just want to double check because I know there's
Well, I
some
don't want to
sensitivities.
take up all of your time here, but I damn sure want to know.
I will share my information at the very end, so I commit to.
I don't mind
I
a
will be
private
here.
audience, but I want the audience.
For sure. No. Okay. All right. So you selected the promotion. All right. So now you viewed that promotion. You viewed the page, and what's the next thing? You want to see how many people actually donated. And then you're able to see who selected the promotion. So you're able to drill down to see what exactly you're trying to find out within their user journey.
But what you have to do is set all this up.
You have to set this up, yeah. So I will make sure to send over like an in-depth walkthrough. And I know, Casey, we chatted about potential follow-ups, like additional trainings, really just kind of get in the weeds of it. Like I mentioned, there's a lot of layers to GA4. And it just, it's been around for 2 years or so, but the full migration happened in July. And since then, there's been quite a few changes. So I want to make sure that we're up to date with all those changes. All right. So finally, some key takeaways from today. Understanding who your audience is in terms of engagement, what they're doing, how they're interacting with your content. Think about those demographics and dimensions that inform you with everything, their age, their gender, and how this can influence larger business decisions, right? So think about that advertising in your newsletter, on your websites, et cetera, depending on the sections, right? So if you see there's big interest in lifestyle, in sports, whatever it is that looks like. Events are any action taken, so this is what I want to just hone in on: page views, clicks, donation, and understanding what's important to your organization. So set events on conversions, newsletter signups, and donations, and further engage your audience with explorations and understand how they navigate your site. So this is my contact info because I know we have some pending things, but I'm going to be here all day. So this is my information, noriegaD@google.com. We'll follow up with additional resources on GA4 to really get in the weeds of it and understand the ins and outs of this analytics tool that is ever changing. So I'll ensure that we're set up for success. But thank you for the opportunity. I'm glad to have interacted with you again and seen you again. I hope we see each other more.
We've got a couple more minutes if there are immediate questions now for Danielle. Okay.
Hi, are there tutorials that walk you through this?
Yes, I promise. Yes, there are
Okay.
definitely, yeah.
And where are they? Where would you
So there, I'll follow up with a microsite for it that'll walk you through every single piece. So starting from the basics of GA4 to best practices to the implementation. We are at the Google News Initiative site. I believe it's googlenewsinitiative.withgoogle.com. But I'll make sure to send this all over. So yeah. Oh, sorry.
Victor Chaperone-Ingowitz. I have a question. What's new that we can look forward to going forward with
Yeah.
the Google News initiative? Anything that we can look forward to for
Is
2024?
there, I think, do you want to speak to this? Yeah.
So we're right now just in planning mode, frankly. We know that we're going to be doing a number of transformation tech cohorts this year that you all are open to apply for. But in terms of like other specific initiatives, I hate to give you a non-answer, but we're literally just getting our budgets and like lots of not sexy stuff.
But we do know that we have a big election year coming up. So one area of focus for us is certainly going to be around mis and disinformation to ensure that journalists have the tools that they need so that all of our users understand all of the tools that we have to fact check things. So that's certainly going to be a focus. Another area of focus for us will be AI. I know everyone's talking about AI. We want to make sure that news organizations take advantage of this new technology. So that's going to be an area of focus. And of course, all the things that we've been doing with you over the last couple of years.
Danielle, are you all gonna help us in setting up? I mean, I know you all give us this big overview, which is cool, but
Yeah.
the setup is key. Are you gonna be doing webinars on how to set up our Google Analytics?
I believe those already exist.
Okay,
So
where
how
do,
to
and you'll let us know where
I'll
to
let you,
find
yeah,
that?
I will
Okay, 'cause
set you
that's
up with
my
all-
issue.
Yeah.
And my question just piggybacks on Sunny, especially from the revenue standpoint and the data that can be provided so that we can use as sales tools.
Yeah.
I think if that's definitely included in that review of some sort,
Okay.
or maybe one of your other compadres at your corporation
Yeah,
to help us understand
sure.
how we can sell with this.
Completely.
Ultimately, all of us are in that universe.
I'm gonna just piggyback off that, just the relationship between this and how it translates to sales is
Yeah,
helpful,
totally,
right?
of
Because
course,
then that
yeah.
becomes what we include in our media
Absolutely.
packages to
It
help
supports
sell.
it.
Okay, thank
Totally.
you.
Oh,
One of the things that a lot of us have experienced, and from talking to some of the big boys, bigger publications, they're losing audience too with the algorithm changes and things of that nature. The question that I had, you talked about 80% being new users versus returning being only 20%.
Yeah.
That used to always confuse me.
Yeah.
Why is that like that? But more importantly, what you mentioned, there are incentives that we can put in place to make sure that we get more returns.
yeah.
What are some of those incentives?
So
Do you
these
have
are,
any ideas?
yeah, these are just some like ideas. You know your audience best, but if you had something in like your newsletter that's an exclusive, let's say for example, that cooking example, right? That everybody was sharing recipes. Maybe there's an exclusive newsletter you drop once a month or once a week that's for that particular audience that they know to look forward to it. You're consistent with it and you know that every Thursday morning it's released and everybody knows the best places to eat in Tampa, for example. That could be one example of something exciting for your audience. I don't know if like giveaways might be something. I don't know if there's any sensitivities around that. But what are ways that you can really kind of get your audience excited and feel a part of the story in some way, right? That they feel that they're influencing content some way. I don't want to get too much into the content because it's a little separate. Ultimately, again, you know your audience. But just what are ways that you could get them excited and look forward to new things?
How you doing? Kenneth Denson from Inglewood today. The first question I want to ask is not directed towards you, but directed towards the audience.
Yeah.
How many people in the room actually have Google Analytics connected to their website? If you could please raise your hand. So then, to answer the question from the brother earlier, the way to track your users is only by user ID. You have to tag the user ID by
Right.
like somebody's a subscriber that actually has an email to your website. If you don't have that, then the only way that your user, that you can know who's your user and what they're doing on your website is only by a direct user or somebody that came organically. So you can only get somebody that searched your website or somebody that came directly from your website through a link. So that's how Google tracks the user on your website. If they don't have a unique identifier on your website, like a subscriber, there's no way to know who that user is. But you can get the analytics from Google to know their device, if it's a mobile, desktop, location, and different type of avenues. And then you can use that data to market and sell your
Right.
usage of your website to these people to
Just
make
gonna be a
revenue.
general blanket, yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
All hearts and minds are clear.
All right.
Let's give Danielle a round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you, Danielle. And obviously, much more to come. We're going to get ready for the next panel, so just hold your seat. I don't know if they brought the coffee out there or not, Fran, but is the coffee out there? It's not yet, not yet. So we can mingle in the room for a moment. Gentlemen, stop the stream for me. We'll start a new one when the next group starts. Can you do that for me? Thank you.